Welcome to Star Joe's podcast, episode 252. Did you see what I saw? I'm your host, Ryan, and welcome back, everyone. We are doing another Zoom meeting. Wanted to do one before the holidays. We might have some people joining us during the meeting, popping in and out. We might not. I don't know. I don't know what to expect this time. But after we will be talking, by the way, at one point, we will be talking about The Mandalorian. So if you did not see the finale, I will warn you ahead of time to stop when we go to start talking about it. Because I guarantee you, as much as people say, like, oh, if you don't care about spoilers, you can keep listening. No, if you are a Star Wars fan, you do not want to be spoiled ahead of time. Trust me on this one.
Yes.
But we're going to talk some Christmas stuff. We're going to talk just like New Year's, the stuff going into the new year. We are going to keep things as positive as possible. I'm sure there'll be some negative things that pop in there because it is 2020 after all. So we'll talk about how we hope the next year won't be like this one and maybe how that could happen, hopefully. Maybe plans that we want to do in the new year and everything else. So I think it'll be fun. But joining me for this expedition into the holidays, we have returning guest, Mr. Kevin Longman, who was with us on our last holiday or last get together. Welcome back to the show, sir.
Thank you.
And also joining us, it's been a long time since we've had you on, but we've definitely mentioned your name many times on the show. Mr. Jonathan Morgantini, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think, wasn't I on with you and Robert like episode 125 or something?
Somewhere
like
around there.
It's been a long time.
Every 125 episodes you come on.
Hey, good.
No,
I'll mark my calendar for next year.
No, you are welcome to come on anytime you'd like. Always happy to have people on. So. And that's one thing I will always mention to people. I think I've mentioned it in past episodes recently, but I always want to mention it. Like, I am always happy to have people on. I am just horrible at remembering to invite people in advance. So, so never take it personally. Never think that, when you ask, hey, can I come on a show sometime? Never think that because I haven't had you on the show, it's because I don't want you on. It's actually because I just completely forget and go, oh shit, I meant to have that person on, and they've been asking for a while. So please never take it personally. So we've got the holidays coming up. I thought it'd be a good time to get together. Obviously the name of the episode plays a little bit into the holidays with the whole "Did you hear what I heard here" song, but also playing into the Star Wars episode because did you see what I saw? It was very exciting. Like I said, we'll get into that. But first thing I wanted to kind of kick things off, if you guys want to kind of each of you tell just a little bit about yourself. And then I'm just kind of curious, like, since we're going into the holidays, like, I don't even want to assume that I know what you celebrate. So talk about what you celebrate, maybe how you're going to celebrate it this year, since it's a little different than most years for most people. And we'll just go into that. We'll start things off with that. So Kevin, if you want to go ahead and start off by introducing yourself and what your holiday is going to be looking like this year.
Yeah, our holidays for the last 20 years that the wife and I have been together, we've always gone to her house for Christmas Eve, and they're Ukrainian, and so they do the meatless dinner. Okay. So they do salmon, and they do salmon with with pierogies and I can't even pronounce the damn words. I grew up with turkeys and potatoes and the North American traditional meals, and so doing this for the last 20 years has been is still a shock to the system. But her dad doesn't like salmon. I'm not a big salmon person either. Okay. So she's always bought a stuffed turkey loaf and had that for at least for the two of us to have. Thank goodness. The pierogies are out of this world, though. Her pierogies are amazing.
Oh yeah, so, I have a Ukrainian Austrian background, so yes, pierogies are a must. So I had an aunt who made them from scratch, which I'm sure is probably what they do as well. And she made like blueberry ones, potato ones, anything you can imagine that could be shoved into a pierogi. Yeah.
So my wife actually helps out now. She makes some of the pierogies and Nalinchika. I can't remember.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, and I can never pronounce it either. So
beatnik. So she helps out with that now, and the kids have grown up with it, so that's their tradition. And so this year they're really upset that they don't get a chance to have their traditional Christmas with Baba, which is upsetting. But they're adapting really, really well with this whole situation. Both my kids work at a grocery store, so they're well aware of everything that's going on.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned my wife works at the hospital, so that's happening. So it's like one more year of this, or one Christmas, and this will be over. Yeah, hey, I'm good for that.
Yep. So, yeah. I mean, obviously, no one would ever want something like this to happen, but I think at least most of the people I know, and people like yourselves who I talk with, like, seems like people are trying to do the right thing and trying to be smart and realizing, like you said, if we do these things this Christmas, then we can go batshit crazy next Christmas. So
yeah, exactly.
and do it upright. So Jonathan, how about you? Introduce yourself to everybody. And I know you have a podcast, so feel free to plug that. We'll let you plug it in at the end as well. And then also, like, what are your holidays looking like this year?
Sure. So I'm Jonathan. I've been on the show before. I actually don't have a podcast anymore. It was just getting, I mean, 2020 and just.
I'm still catching up on old episodes, so that's my problem.
That's totally fine. Yeah, it just became, I mean, coordinating a D&D group when there's nothing else going on is hard enough as it is, but just trying, the recording and trying to get 5 adults to sit down for 3 to 4 hours at a time with the process that we were trying to do, was just too much. So we just decided to walk away from it. And I am actually no longer working at the funeral home, which is, that was a thing that happened this summer. There was a lot that went into it, but it was just really stressful. And it was like, I don't need this right now.
Yeah.
And I am out of the military after 19 years. So I've just, it's been a big year of lots of change and stuff.
I would say so.
We'll see what next year looks like. But my holidays, I grew up in Southern California. So even after living in Washington State for 6 years now at this point, again, this second go around, I'm still not used to how cold it gets up here. And snow was something that you saw on, like, Charlie Brown's Christmas. It's not something that, happens here, except it looks like it might actually happen here this year.
Right.
And it's just like, no. And I mean, I lived in Chicago for 5 years, and it was no. I like the idea of a white Christmas out there, away from me, not where I live.
I would say, or even the idea, like I've lived in Ohio my whole life, but like I like the idea of Christmas, like you can have snow on Christmas Eve and up till New Year's, and then it can go away. Like I just want it for that week, and we're good.
Yeah.
You guys both suck. I'm the Canadian. I'm in charge of plow trucks up here.
Oh no, I don't get my wish. I just I get plenty of snow. In fact, we had Browns players that were new to like what you were talking about, Jonathan, where it was like they really just they had no experience with snow. Like you at least had some. They had no experience with snow, and they're like on Twitter going, because we had a huge blizzard that happened like weeks ago, and like it was a lot, and they were like, oh, this is that snow you guys are talking about, and everyone responded back going, no, this is the appetizer.
It was very much like one of the funny military stories about snow that I tell is I was doing my training way back in 2002 in Dam Neck, Virginia, was my school for the Navy. And then I came home for Christmas for 2 weeks to California. So the whole time I'm in short sleeve shirts, I'm in shorts, I'm in flip flops. That's how I get on the plane back to Virginia, because I didn't look at the weather. So I arrive in Virginia in basically tennis shoes, cargo shorts, and a t-shirt. It's like -20, and there's 3.5 feet of snow on the ground. And I'm just like, I didn't even think. What do you mean the rest of the world doesn't, have the end of December being 75 and sunny? This is not okay with me. So having to stand outside the airport and wait for a taxi in cargo shorts, and I think I might have had a sweatshirt when there was 3 feet of snow on the ground, and like one car every 20 minutes would brave it. that was an interesting experience.
I could imagine. Yeah, I have my parents just recently moved back up to Ohio. They just moved back up to Columbus. They lived in the Cleveland area like myself for most of their life. And then they moved down to Florida, and they had been there the last like 10 years. And then they decided they wanted to be closer to family. You know, they're in their 70s right now. So they're just like, you know, they're both in amazing health, which is great. But they're like, if something ever happens, it's easier for you guys to jump in a car and see us than it is for you to try to arrange a flight and all that type of stuff. And they figured they'd be able to see us more often and everything. Well, then 2020 hit, and yeah. It's like, still can't see you, Mom and Dad. Sorry. But it's funny because even though they lived up here their whole life, when they moved back up from Florida, they didn't really prepare for the cold weather. So it's like my mom's texting me going, "Hey, where'd you get your boots at? And where'd you get this? Like, where'd you get your jacket from? Because your dad needs stuff." I'm like, and then the blizzard hit, like I said, and they got hit with it too, even though they're farther south. And they were just like, "Yeah, we didn't even think about like getting a shovel or anything like that ahead of time." I was like, you guys lived up here for like 60 years.
I wouldn't choose Florida though either. I can't do humidity. So
that was one of many reasons why they left there. They lived in a retirement community. My mom said the funniest thing to me one day. She was just like, just everyone, all of our friends around us, like everyone's just dying. And I go, you live in a retirement community. She goes, I know, but like everyone's old. I go, Mom, I got news for you. Newsflash. You're old too. It's okay, but you're old too.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not old. I'm like, Mom, you're in your 70s. I'm old. I'm 45. I'm old. Okay. I know this because the 20-some-year-olds that I work with tell me I'm old.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I just posted something to Facebook today, and it was a memory from like 2 years ago. It's like, it's weird to think that the year 2000 was 20 years ago, because 1980 was also 20 years ago. So right. I'm not sure how that squares
up.
Exactly. Exactly. Anytime someone says, 20 years ago, I'm like, oh, the 1980s. Nope.
Well, and I think it's because we all lived through the millennium, and that was our seminal event. So that's kind of where our internal clocks always default to.
Yeah.
And so like we think of, because everyone knows where you were on the year 2000, and it's just it's one of the things that you remember. So when you think 20 years from a major point, your brain just kind of defaults to, oh yeah, you know.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and it's an excellent point. We all knew where we were too, because we thought the world was going to end, because it was like,
exactly.
Well, the computers aren't ready for 2000.
The realization I was old. Listening to my kids are listening to 80s music and they're singing along to it. And I'm like, wait a minute. Start thinking back when I was their age, I was listening to 50s and 60s music. Now they're singing along to 80s music like I sang to 50s and 60s. Like, oh my God, I'm old.
That's awesome.
And they're playing with the radio, and you're like, "Oh, this is a great song. I remember when this song came out." And then it's like, next on Oldies 103. You're like, God dang it.
Well, that was one of the things too that my dad said to me, because like I said, they lived in a retirement community, and you would go down to the square, and they would have be playing like 50s and 60s music for them. And my dad said to me, he's like, when you're old enough to move down here, they're going to be playing like Bon Jovi and Guns N' Roses. And I was like, number one, Dad, props to you for remembering who I listened to. But number two, oh my God, you're totally right.
Yeah.
So let's get into some Christmas memories in general. Like I kind of kept it very generic as far as what I sent out to you guys, like that we'll talk about and everything else. But I'm just kind of curious. There's no rhyme or reason to any of this stuff. There's no form for it or anything like that. But I'm just kind of curious, like, what are some of your favorite Christmas memories? Whether they're funny, whether they're memorable, whether they're related to the show, like or not. Like, is there certain toys that you remember, like waking up and going, "Oh my God, I got this," and it was like the most amazing Christmas ever just because of that. So I just kind of want to pick your guys' brain, like what holiday. You can mention as many of them as you want. So I don't care.
I was right in the center of the Venn diagram of all the interests as a kid, and the podcast My parents love to tell the story about going and maxing out 2 credit cards to get a video camcorder for me, because I was the first kid, so I was the golden child. I got everything I wanted, yada yada yada. There is home video footage of me at about, I want to say probably 3 years old. I'm a little 2 foot nothing, blonde hair, and I rip open this box, and I'm like, "Mommy, it's a mask!" And it was Condor. It was Brad and the motorcycle.
Oh wow!
And because nice. I was watching the show at the time, so
sure.
I didn't have all of them, to my chagrin. I never got Boulder Hill.
Yeah.
Still to this day, never got
sold it.
But I got all the mask figures, and I very much Christmas. My birthday is the beginning of December, so December's always like the big gift giving months in my memory. I got Castle Grayskull one year. Somehow my parents managed to find every one of the Ghostbusters line one year. So like, it was all a thing. So I'm like, I got all the action figures, and they had that stupid little piece of plastic that came out of the blasters that you could spin that made it look like it was. And I got Ecto 1, I got the Firehouse, and I got Stay Puft. Like they tended to go in themes. So I would get, chunks of things at a time.
That's how it was for me too. I had it was always a theme. It was almost like a theme year. So like you mentioned Castle Grayskull. The one year I got Castle Grayskull with Battle Cat and He-Man and Skeletor and Beastman. Like it was basically whatever was out that year for that toy line that I was interested in. That was that Christmas. So
right. And then I remember I grew up in a very small town in California. So one of the things we did have was we had a Santa Claus who drove around and said hi to all the kids, like on the street corners and stuff. And it was just a sleigh with fake reindeer attached to a trailer, which was pulled by somebody's truck. But it was the thing that we did. And he was very sly. I was probably, I was very young, but he would always repeat what kids whispered to him because he wanted the parents to be able to hear.
All right, we're gonna have to interrupt your tale of Santa because we had Zartan Santa showing up here. Looks like his audio is connecting right now, but oh my god, like amazing.
That's not nightmare fuel at all.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm not good with clowns in general. So
there he goes.
Yeah, let's see. He's trying to get his audio connected. So whenever you're finally connected, feel free to jump in. So if you want to go ahead, Jonathan, and keep telling the Santa Claus.
Yeah, so I was trying to sneak one over on Mom and Dad. They had told me that some toy was off limits. I don't remember what the toy was. So I kind of whispered it to Santa Claus, "Hey, I want this." And he goes, "Oh, you want this?" but really loudly. And I was like, "You're ruining it, Santa. What the hell?" But that was the year that my brother and I, whatever we had asked for, Mom and Dad couldn't find or didn't want me to have. So I ended up getting a very nice typewritten note and the Star Wars Nintendo game.
Oh, wow.
And
nice. That's awesome.
It was very much like I couldn't, we ran out or whatever the excuse was. Here's this. And that game probably took over my life for 3 years, I want to say. Like, it was such a, like, remembering my video game days. I needed Game Genie for that thing. Like, it was so freaking difficult. Not Turtles difficult, but still, like, not simple.
Wow.
You can't tell you're into Star Wars video games at all by looking at your picture.
No, not at all. Not even a little bit. That Turtles game was the bane of my existence, as I think it was many other people's. Chuck loves that game. He says he's like, it's my favorite video game, and I'm like, that's just because you knew it was difficult and you beat it. You can't tell me it was a good game. It was a nightmare game.
It was a nightmare game.
It's his crowning achievement. So
he's peaked.
Right, exactly. So we got you connected by audio there, Mr. Zartan.
Haha, it's I, Zartan. Once again, I fooled you with one of my clever disguises.
Love it. How you doing today, sir?
Not too bad. Oh, Ryan, please.
Yeah.
Sir, Mr. Zartan, that's my father. You can just call me Zartan.
Okay, I'll just call you Zartan. Thank you. I appreciate it. I always wait for the person to give me permission to on what to call them properly. So
You're very polite.
I like the Santa hat though. That goes nice.
But 'tis the season. As
Absolutely.
you know, I have a full array of costumes at my disposal.
Absolutely. You even got the little red going on down here to match it. So it's yeah. I noticed the little details. The details are what's important. So
well, Cobra isn't paying that much these days. So if you can pick up a shift at the mall, it helps.
Right. So we were talking, and Kevin, I hope you don't mind, but I'll turn it over to Zartan next. We were talking Christmas memories, and we were wondering if you had any memories of growing up that you'd like to share with the audience, any fond memories that you had.
Oh, there was this one year, me and the Dreadnoks, we were going to go knock off this orphanage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, old Torch just watched the idea that he's going to go and doesn't check to see if that chimney is lit or not. So he goes climbing down that chimney, gets the end, and there's a right fire blazing. You should have seen him shoot back up to that chimney, start scooting across that snow-covered roof. Oh, if you would have been there, you would have peed yourself. One of my greatest Christmas memories ever.
That's awesome. And at the beginning of the show, we were talking about how we're going to be celebrating Christmas this year because it's obviously an unusual year. So how are you planning on celebrating the holidays this year?
Well, because we'll be outside and we'll be able to keep spacing, me and the Dread. So we'll be going along and singing all the classics like Serpentor's Coming to Town, I Saw the Baroness Kissing Santa Claus, and of course, everybody's.
What was everybody's favorite? It cut out there for a second.
The red-colored arms dealer.
Okay. Very nice. Mr. Longman, how about you? What are some of your favorite Christmas memories you had growing up?
A lot of them actually seem to float around when my grandparents had a place in Yuma, Arizona, actually. We got our Atari 2600 when we were down there for Christmas one year.
Nice.
That was a special one.
Yeah.
And G.I. Joe was a big part. I got my G.I. Joe headquarters that year.
Yeah.
I got a Mobat with the Canadian sticker up here. And then when I went down to Yuma for Christmas that year, I got one with the U.S. sticker on it. So I had multinational G.I. Joe vehicles.
Nice.
Yeah, just waking up and a lot of just G.I. Joe was a big focus of mine growing up. And then my brothers were into Masters of the Universe, and we did get a lot of mask stuff as well. We did have Boulder Hill, which we ended up selling. I still have all the toys though. I got Rhino up here. I got Jonathan, the Condor is actually my favorite as well. So
I'm hanging up. I'm so angry now.
Oh yeah, I don't remember if mask was like a one Christmas thing or if it was like a birthday thing that was like sporadic. Because like birthdays, I would get like one toy or something like that.
For
Christmas,
me, like it ended up being like stocking stuffers. Like I remember, and the thing is that the names escape me, but Slyrax. I got Slyrax in my stocking one year, I think. But you know, the show didn't last that long, but I remember the show. I even had because my parents love shopping on a theme for me because it's easy to be able to, right? Oh, he's into this. We'll get him something from this.
Right.
I had the Mask Mission Meteor, which is the first episode on audio cassette. It's a follow along storybook that you can listen to, and the voices are all wrong. It's not obvious. They didn't just pull the audio from the episode,
right?
But I had so much stuff.
That's awesome.
It was my thing for a while.
Yeah, well, and I had Slyrax. I had a good portion of the early ones. I will say, especially with them doing with IDW having done the crossover and stuff like that with Mask, where they were trying to do that. I'm really surprised, to go back to the Dreadnought situation. I'm really surprised they didn't try to incorporate Sly Rax into the Dreadnoughts. Like, he seems like he would have been a perfect fit for that group. Have you ever had any interactions with him, Zartan?
Well, we did extend some invitation to him. I mean, he already has his bike, so he would have fit right in the group.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, and he's got the submarine for the swamp. That would have been perfect. So, I mean,
we meet at cons all the time.
I'm sure. I'm sure. But yeah, I remember I had the what was Switchblade, which never made sense to me. It's a helicopter that switches to a plane. So
the physics doesn't work, but I was a kid. I didn't care.
No. And I'm like, okay, it flies and then it flies. So, but it just flies faster.
My thing was, does it go, if it goes from hovering, if it goes from jet to hover, at some point you're basically stopping so it can transform. So are you like, does he just drop 300 feet and he knows he has to get up a certain height and just allows the free fall for the, like, that would be scary. Just saying that seems like a small design flaw.
Well, if we're going to talk about realism in Mask, you don't know how long I thought that if you could just open up the doors of your car, you could suddenly start flying.
Totally
that
fair.
Is very true. That is totally a fair point. Yes, 100%. Because obviously we had cars that could do that. It's like, so when I saw Back to the Future, I thought that's what was going to happen. I thought the doors were going to open up and they were going to take off, and they do, but just in a different way.
I remember watching the TV show, and the unrealistic thing I poo-pooed at was like, those masks couldn't manifest those kinds of powers. That's dumb. But meanwhile, I was totally okay with the motorcycle turning into a helicopter, or the the R2D2 ripoff. That was totally fine. But for some reason, the masks being able to project things was the part where I was like, nope, that's too unrealistic.
Well, and I will say was it T-Bob that was that turned into the, like, that was one of the ones that actually made the most sense to me, because I was like, okay, a robot that can turn into a scooter, that I could see that, especially how he did it. It was like this little wheel came out and then he turned
it. Basically R2D2'd it. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm like, it's that one I can actually see happen. But yeah, with the Switchblade, I remember what I did was, because the wings would pop out, they would snap out. So I always used that as a weapon. So it was like you're flying around, and like if you had to take another jet out or something like that, you just like turn to the side and pop the wings out, and it would cut it and then knock it out of the sky. So decapitate a few people, do stuff like that. So
I used to get in trouble. The later on, when I went into the racing season, I had the big semi truck with the launchers that folded down and shot, and I got in trouble for attacking the cats with these giant 6-inch long orange plastic missiles that could shoot across the room.
Well, the missile on the Rhino, that could kill somebody. That thing was sturdy and heavy, and it shot like a rocket out of that thing. So.
80s toys were a whole realm of, no, this wouldn't work nowadays.
No. Hell, we still had jarts at that time, so we were good.
Yeah.
But so one thing I'm curious about too, like, was there a year, like my family always filmed us, so we have years and years of film, and it was always, my dad had the millimeter thing they would film us, and he had the spotlight, and he's like, look at the camera, and we're like, I can't, like, thanks for the gift. But by having those videos, there was definitely a year where it was like, it stopped being this magical wonder of a Christmas, and because you could see it on camera, it was kind of like, thanks, Mom and Dad, for the gift. And instead of being like, holy shit, this is awesome. Like, so the year for us that happened was the year we got a Game Boy. Now, we were ecstatic to get the Game Boy and to get the games, and it was amazing. But when you watch the film, it doesn't look like Christmas morning, like where everyone's excited and happy and all that type of stuff that you see in all the previous years. We were excited and we were happy and everything else to get what we got and to spend time with our family, and the tree was all done and everything. But there was just something about that year when you look at the video, you're like, yeah, I think we were growing up at that point. So was there a year for you guys that was like whether you can remember it based on gifts like I just did, or like, was there a specific year you remember or something like that, where it's just like, yeah, I think I'm kind of growing up. Like, this is the Christmas that I kind of grew up a little bit. So
I mean, kind of. So I'm the oldest of four. My baby sister, the youngest one, is 13 years younger than me. So, but we're staged 3-5, 3-5. So there was one year, and I couldn't tell you what gifts we got that year. But once everybody's kind of in on the secret, we still had gifts from Santa under the tree. But it was very much like, all right, like I know, thank you, Santa. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah.
But once everybody's in on the joke, there was less like, oh, and it's more like, all right, we need to find their hiding spot because we could have found out about this stuff 6 months ago and we didn't. So we need to work harder next year is what I'm hearing. And it just became more about trying to one up each other. Like, especially with my brothers, if you watch the video, it stops becoming an, oh, cool. Or it's, hey, no, focus on me. Look at me as I'm doing this. And it's just like, it's less about the whole Christmas bit.
Yeah.
And people are just kind of, lawnmowering through all the gifts just to get to the end. And then you're like, great, now I have this cool bunch of stuff, but I don't know everything that I've opened because I need to go through and actually look at it as opposed to just ripping the packaging off everything. Yeah. And there's something to be said for growing up. And yes, there's always something you want, but I don't, that first Christmas at 3 that I remember when I opened my first, mask toy, nothing's ever that's peak, right? Because you're like so innocent and so like, oh my, this is my whole world right now. Oh my God. Or when I went through my Star Wars phase, and I remember you had
a phase for Star Wars. Evidently I've never left that phase.
the start of the phase.
Gotcha. Okay, I understand now.
My parents went out for some dinner date late at night and left me with a babysitter. They came to pick me up from the babysitter and they put me in the back seat of the car. And as we're driving away, my mom leans over from the passenger side seat and she basically puts the big X-Wing in my lap, the one that held the 6-inch figures that had you pushed R2 and it did all the lights and the sounds and things. And I was like, oh my God, this is like the greatest thing that ever has been bestowed upon anyone on the planet. And then you kind of grow out of it and you're like, that's great, but
you're sitting in the cockpit of an X-Wing right now.
It is an X-Wing. I was looking up Star Wars Zoom backgrounds because I don't play with Zoom very much. And I'm like, oh, this is cool. Squadrons was fun. So sure.
There you go. How about you, Zartan? What was there a year that was just I'm this is the Christmas that I kind of grew up a little bit more?
Well, growing up in a swamp, we pretty much had sticks and threw rocks at each other. Christmas.
I guess that would make you grow up a bit. Yeah. Sticks and stones may break your bones takes on a whole new meaning there. So.
It's not all fun and games, Ryan.
No, it's not. Looks like it sometimes, but yeah. How about you, Kevin?
A lot what Jonathan said there. When Jesus, Santa's signature looks a lot like Mom's. Oh. So yeah, at that point, it's trying to keep it alive for my two brothers who were each 2 years apart. So 2 years under me, and then another 2. Try to keep it alive for them, and then they figure it out eventually. It's like then it's still Christmas and everybody's still together.
Yeah.
But I found now, especially getting older and having kids, like my kids are 16 and 18 now, but you want to make it that magical for them at that point.
Yeah.
So like my big one for the kids is we lived in a townhouse in the same city as the in-laws. And so we went to the in-laws for Christmas dinner. And I just snuck out the back door one day, went home and turned on all the Christmas lights and put all the presents under the tree and whatnot. And I made a point when we left the house, I told Cameron, make sure all the lights are turned off. Don't leave the Christmas tree on and everything else like that. Okay. And yeah, everything was turned off and we left. And I sneaked back and I turned everything back on and bring all the presents out. And we walk in the door and Cameron, I thought I told you. I did, Dad. And we walk in there and all the toys and everything all over the place. And so that just brings it back again. So that was, yeah, I'm gonna miss those days. Now that I don't want grandchildren yet. Christ.
Yeah,
But
ease it up there. Yeah, I actually saw. So I love seeing how creative people get with the Elf on a Shelf stuff. And someone posted today. There's like, this person wins Elf on the Shelf forever. It was the elf sitting there with a scissors sitting in his lap, and there's pieces of fabric all over in front of it. And then there's the picture of the child sleeping on like the couch, and bits of the kid's shirt and pajamas are cut off of it. And that's the fabric that was on the elf's thing. I was like, when that kid wakes up and finds all these holes on him and then sees the elf sitting there with the scissors and the fabric, I was like, that would have blown my mind as a kid.
I think we have the basis for a new Christmas horror movie, Ryan. Look out, Chucky.
That wouldn't be bad. Well, and I don't know if I would ever do Elf on a Shelf with my kids because that's one of those dolls that comes alive at night and kills you. So I'm sure I would do like Santa Yoda or something like that. So, something along those lines. But the last thing I wanted to ask when it comes to Christmas, and then we'll get into some good Star Wars talk, was curious. Like I just recently was fortunate enough to be on Jason Pravat's Fanning the Geekdom. He's doing 12 days of Christmas specials. And so he had me on and I talked about Muppets Christmas Carol. He's like, you can pick anything. And he told me what some people had already picked and everything else and what some people were going to pick and everything. So I chose that since I know a whole ton about Muppets and love them. So I picked that. But there's a ton of Christmas specials that I absolutely love, Christmas movies and things like that. For you guys, are there certain movies or specials that you watch every year with like, you have to watch it that every year? So, and you can, again, name as many of them as you want to. So I am most curious. I'm going to start with Zartan because I'm most curious for him what Christmas specials or movies he loves to watch the most.
It's weird because I don't watch much broadcast TV anymore. And so it actually does lose a little bit of that flavor when you don't have them coming on at the regular seasons like you would. And you had to make sure you're there and have the different fanfares. Like one network would always have the word special that comes spinning in, right? Yeah, I haven't seen stuff like that actually in several years because, like I said, if it's not streaming, I'm not watching it. So you do miss out on some of that. And it does miss some of the flavor of the season. Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and it may have been CBS, but I know the exact special thing you're talking about where it spun around. And anytime I would hear that, like you said, you magically go back to that time of watching those.
Run for the couch.
Yes, because it's coming on. And that thing only happens for like a second, maybe 2 seconds. And then boom, you're in that special. It's started. So how about for Kevin? How about for you?
Well, those stop action like Santa Claus, the Burl Ives, and all those kind of things. When you see those on TV, that just tickles a part of your brain. That just like, okay, that was exactly. Yep. That just brings you right back as a child.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I have to watch National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation at least once every Christmas because that is my single favorite Christmas movie.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Jonathan, how about for you?
Oh, I mean, I've got a bunch.
Go for it.
The sort of the classics, right? Like Charlie Brown's Christmas is sort of a thing. I just introduced my girlfriend this year to Emmett Otter.
Oh,
the jug band.
I actually just saw it last year in theaters. A theater in Columbus was showing it on big screen, and my sister told me about it. Again, knowing I'm a big Muppets person, and said, "Do you want to come down here and we'll all go see it?" And her stepkids, they had never seen it before, so
the Emmett Otter jug band, Home Alone, trying to think Christmas. But it's Muppets Christmas Carol's a big one. But all that kind of stuff, yeah, that kind of ran. That was like a special thing. Grinch Who Stole Christmas, right? Like, yes, you can buy it on DVD and you can watch it technically anytime, but it doesn't have the same feeling as if it's just the month of December at some point when you're watching all this stuff. So, but yeah, it was all that stuff as a kid was definitely the sort of feel of, okay, it's getting closer. It's the building of the anticipation towards the actual holiday.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, and all the ones you guys have mentioned are ones that are near and dear to me. I watch a ton of Christmas movies and specials and everything else. Like, I love Scrooge. Scrooge, I quote every year on Christmas Eve. I post it on Facebook and social media about the last line that he says about, like, on Christmas Eve, it's the time we're all a little bit nicer to each other. We're the people we always hoped we would be. So that, because to me, that's what Christmas is, and that's what I try to be year round. But yeah, Muppets Christmas Carol, anything Christmas Carol, I will watch because it's my favorite story when it comes to Christmas. It's a little darker, so I don't know what that says about me, but yeah, I love that. My wife and I, yes, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation is my number one, Kevin. I share that with you. And then we have to watch A Christmas Story, which on Christmas Day, you can just turn on TBS or whatever it's going to be on. And it doesn't matter where it is at that point. Now, granted, I also grew up in Cleveland area, so yes, I have gone to the Christmas Story house. It is amazing. They are adding to it every year. I was there the year they first opened it up, and I have not been there since, and they have done amazing things since then. So I absolutely want to go back and see it. We always watch Elf. That's my wife's favorite one, and I absolutely love that. I'm not a huge Will Ferrell fan. Like, I like some stuff that Will Ferrell does, but Elf was like perfect for me. Like, I am good with that one. And we just watched this morning to kind of like have a good Christmassy feeling this morning. There's a new one that came out last year on Netflix, which was Klaus. It's an animated one. And if you have not had a chance to see it, I would highly recommend it.
Is that based on the comic book?
No, the Grant Morrison one. Yeah, I know. I thought that's actually why I watched it, because I thought maybe it was based on that one. So no, but it's got it's definitely in all ages. Like, it's good for anyone of any age, which I don't know if the Grant Morrison one really is, because I'm pretty sure he's on an acid trip for some of it. But I do like that comic. That comic's actually really good. I was surprised at how much I liked it. But it's got, like, Norm Macdonald does a voice, and J.K. Simmons does the voice of Klaus himself, which is awesome. There's a lot of pretty big actors that do some voices for it, but if you're looking for something that has that nostalgic feel of the stuff we grew up with, I would highly recommend watching that one, because it definitely has that heartfelt story to it and everything else, and it's very entertaining. The general idea is that it's a postman who is spoiled. His dad's in charge of all postmen, and his father's had enough. So he sends him to this town to start a post office. And he's sent there, and he's like, if you can get 6,000 letters in a year, you can come back. Otherwise, you're stuck there. And so he goes to this town, and here it's like a Hatfields versus McCoy. This town is grouped of two warring families that have been attacking each other for years. They don't give a crap about the mail. All they want to do is they have a war bell in the middle of town. And when that bell rings, they come battling each other. And through what was initially some selfish acts of his own, stuff starts turning around in the town, and it ends up turning into an origin of Santa Claus. So I think it's done extremely well. There's some good music to it. And it's a little emotional at the end. So I would, like I said, highly recommend that one. That is one that now I do add to I need to watch it every year. So, all right, you guys ready to talk some Star Wars, Mandalorian? Zartan, have you seen the latest episode?
I have not watched season 2 yet, so if this is where you're going, I think I might just drop out here.
Okay, I would highly recommend that. I'm sorry that you won't be with us for the rest of it, because you've been quite entertaining. Loved having you on. But yes, I said at the very beginning of the episode, if you have not seen season 2 of Mandalorian or the finale, and you are a Star Wars fan in any way, shape, or form, I absolutely say it is a must to not listen to any more of this episode until you have seen that, because as much as people might not mind spoilers, I'm telling you right now, this is a spoiler episode that you don't want to hear.
Well, I'll tell you, I have managed to avoid any spoilers, but I see all kinds of fanfare about people arguing about showing or not showing spoilers. So my expectation is the world must explode at the end of this thing. It has to be huge.
It is.
Fanboys did. Fanboys definitely exploded after this one.
Yeah. In the best ways possible. So I will tell you that it is. I have yet to hear one person say that they did not enjoy this last episode and did not have their minds blown when they saw it. Now, granted, I'm also setting a very high expectation for you now. So when you do watch it, you'll probably be like, "Yeah, that wasn't that big. What the hell is Ryan talking about?" But just want to throw it out there for you.
Before I go, I want to leave you just little tidbit, just a little taste of the caroling that I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
So if you see us out there, remember we like 20s, but dashing through the swamp, my skier making waves, to the Terror Dome we go, capture Duke on the way. Ho, 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 ho. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. Say hi to all the dreadnoughts in the swamp there for us.
I will. Take care.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. Oh, that was fantastic. I know the last time we did the meeting, he popped in, and unfortunately, due to some bad connections, we didn't really get to feel the full effect. I'm glad, and I know there was some little bit of glitches tonight as well, but that was priceless.
That was way better. Nice to be able to talk to him for a change.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, that's gonna be great. And just so you guys know, when people are seeing this and watching this, they'll already know I am going to be trying to get this out like ASAP. So I'm going to be trying to get it out at the very latest, like the 23rd or 24th. So it is available for people for Christmas time. So his appearance as in his disguise as Santa will be very apropos. So. All right, so I'm going to say very little. I just want to, I need to get the spoiler part stuff out, and then I will let you guys reflect on your reactions and everything else. As much as I would love to take over the show and be like, oh my God, here's everything I thought about that episode. I want to hear you guys talk about it. But again, I cannot stress this enough for listeners and viewers. If you have not seen the last episode, I don't care if you're like, oh, I don't mind spoilers. You mind spoilers for this one. You absolutely mind spoilers for this one. Go away, hit the pause button. You can come back. It works on YouTube and on whatever podcast thing you're listening to. We'll be here. With that said, I will say what was revealed in this episode and kind of where my mental process was when it happened, and then I will let you guys take over and talk about anything you want to talk about in the episode, including the big spoiler stuff. So at the end of the episode, a lot of stuff happened leading up to this, so there's definitely more stuff to talk about, and I'm not going to talk about the after credits episode part of the episode, but you guys absolutely can. We will get into all of that. But when they're trapped on the bridge there and they get the alert and the one X-Wing, they say, oh, it's an X-Wing. And they go, oh, we're saved. And I'm like, one X-Wing. Okay, now my mind's going, is this who I think it is? But I'm like, this could be a red herring because we've seen X-Wings already. So I'm like, this right. Very well could be a red herring to just throw me the hell off. But I was like, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be a Jedi. Like, this is who Grogu called out to. And then you see the cloak. And I'm like, could still be anyone. Then I see the green lightsaber. And I go, if these sons of bitches, if this isn't Luke, I'm going to be so pissed that they teased me. Then I see the one gloved hand.
Yeah, that was it for me.
And I'm like, this is Luke. This is Luke, because if this is not Luke, I will burn this house down right now. And then you see the belt and everything, and you're like, hey, this is Luke. And then it's Luke, and that was amazing. And then the second big thing for me was then seeing R2 roll out.
Oh, yeah.
And the whole scene with R2 and Grogu reminded me very much of the original meeting of Yoda and R2. Like it seemed like that was like a little homage to that and everything else. So that's, I just wanted to get out there who shows up in the episode and where my thought process was as it was happening. Yes, I teared up a bit when I saw Luke, and yes, I teared up when I saw R2, because as I've mentioned many times on the show, R2 is my second favorite Star Wars character. So seeing him again was incredible. So I leave it up to you guys. Do your best to not talk over each other, but feel free to talk about anything and everything, your reactions, whatever you want to talk about when it comes to the episode, and I'll chime in where I feel need to. So
there was one part I could have sworn when Slave One's flying over top of that, I can't remember which planet it was. They're flying over top of a planet where all the ships are.
Yeah.
I swear to God, the Falcon is right there. It flies over top of the Falcon.
Oh.
We actually backed it up, and did you see that to my kids? And so we backed it up and went, and they're like, "No way," because even my kids caught it.
Oh wow!
So it would have been. It's after Return of the Jedi. Did Han lose it that early, or is he just happened to be there? But it's where all those ships were parked. I can't remember. I only saw it today.
Okay.
So it's still fresh in my brain, but I can't remember that part of it. So that was the other thing I thought that was weird.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'll have to go, and I have a whole nother, not that I needed a reason to go back and watch it again, but I have a whole nother reason to go back and watch it now.
Yeah.
I've been reading.
Go ahead, Jonathan.
Oh, I was just going to say, I had been reading and sort of watching a bunch of like, who's it going to be, right? And like people doing polls and things. And Luke was pretty high up there, but I didn't necessarily think it was going to be Luke, because I was like, we would have heard. People are so good at spoiling things now. So someone would have leaked something, and no one leaked this at all. And so I was like, okay. And I saw other people saying maybe it'll be Mace. I was like, that could be interesting. I don't necessarily know that he's all the way dead, right? So and at this point, it's Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. They could bring him back and give the flimsiest of excuses, and I'd be like, all right, that's fine. That works. You guys win. Yeah. I saw there was another YouTube video that I was watching where they thought maybe Kyle Katarn was coming back. Like it would be a good way to introduce Kyle. And I said, that sounded plausible at this point. Yes. I mean, we have Dark Troopers, so why not?
Right. You could have Quinlan Voss show up. You could have, the list goes on and on of who it could have been. And I know when we last talked about it, we even said it could be a Sith that shows up.
It could have been. The other one I saw, the one that I was pretty sure right off the bat wasn't, was Mara Jade. Mostly because that wouldn't be a really good spot to introduce her. They would, if they're going to introduce her, and I actually agree with this other video that I was watching. She's basically the canon form of what the Legends called an Inquisitor, right? Or she would be an Inquisitor now in Disney canon. She was the Hand of the Emperor in Legends, and if they're going to do a spin-off show with Ahsoka, she could be season 1 Ahsoka's villain.
Absolutely.
And then have a change and be like, okay, maybe actually, she could have the whole helmet thing going on, and she and Ahsoka get in a lightsaber fight, and then Ahsoka like smashes her head into a wall or something, and you see a couple of locks of dark red hair fall out. And again, Star Wars fanboys would absolutely lose their goddamn minds.
You could have what's his name that was Starkiller, is it Galen or what? I can't remember what his name was. The character that played in Force Unleashed.
Right.
Could be like the same thing you're talking about. They could use him as a villain for.
When you own the whole back catalog, there's a lot of ways it could go. So I didn't necessarily expect Luke, because we hadn't even seen whisperings or whatever. And so then yes, you see the one X-wing, and you're like, okay, I don't trust it yet, because it's just one X-wing. I'm not gonna let myself get excited yet. I'm gonna temper that disappointment down. Yeah, and then he has his whole Rogue One scene through all the Dark Troopers, where he's just killing things, and you're like, okay, I see where you're going with this. I'm okay
it's like that. Ride. I saw a Skywalker do something just like this not that long ago.
Exactly, and then the open the doors, and the smoke, and he walks in. And yes, I saw a couple of things online. The CG isn't 100%.
Sure.
I don't care.
I don't either.
I couldn't care less. And for me, yes, seeing Luke was great. For me, it's a combination of seeing Return of the Jedi Luke. He's in his Return of the Jedi costume, but then his damn theme pops up, like just the low, slow version of the Luke theme. And you're like, all right,
done.
I can't. You win.
Yeah. And the other thing I heard about it, which I completely agree with, and it's how I felt, and I think it's how we all felt watching this scene, is this is how we always wanted to see Luke. We wanted to see him kicking ass as a Jedi Knight, taking on everybody, showing that he's actually maybe a bit more powerful than even his father was when he was a Jedi, potentially. But just taking on everything. This is the Luke we wanted to see. And we want to see our heroes be these iconic heroes in these amazing fight action scenes just to see it once. And that's what we got.
It's just like when we saw Vader at the end of Rogue One. This is what Vader is.
Yes.
And then also
that is why he is scared. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. Finally, exactly. To your point, we finally got to see why Vader was scary,
and also why he was irritated at the beginning of New Hope, because he just done all this shit and he was pissed. He's like, no, you're lying to me. 5 minutes ago, I had to kill a bunch of your people. I know the plans are on this stupid ship.
Right. Well, and that's the thing that so many people said, like, did we need Rogue One? No, we didn't need Rogue One. But man, the things that Rogue One did for A New Hope, because now when I watch A New Hope after watching Rogue One, I'm like, yeah, they were on the run. This is urgent now. And to your point, exactly what you're saying, Jonathan, where it's like, yeah, Vader's frustrated. He's pissed off. He knows the plans are on this goddamn ship.
Watch it go away. Yeah, exactly. No, it was, and then I turned it off. I did not realize there was a post-credit scene until I was watching the credits, and then I turned it off and was going and doing something else. But subconsciously, right, I'm just kind of going, wow, that was really awesome. And then I'm like, wait a minute, why was Bib Fortuna in the credits? There wasn't anything on Tatooine. And so then I went back. I was like, oh, there's like 3.5 minutes left in the episode. Yeah. And then I watched it and I was like, yeah, this tracks. That's completely on par for his character.
Well, and the funny thing with that was, number one, I didn't know if that was, so number one was I was told ahead of time that there's a post-credit scene, but I think I would have watched anyways, because I was thrown off by the fact that there was no artwork at the end, like we normally see. So I was like, okay, so I started watching the credits, and like I said, I even knew there was something afterwards, but I didn't know how much. And I watched that and I was like, I didn't notice the credits mentioning Bib Fortuna. So I wasn't even sure if that was Bib Fortuna, because I was like, didn't he die on the sail barge? But then it makes perfect sense for the character that he would have jumped ship the second things started going bad.
No, I'm out of here.
Yeah, exactly. And then it makes perfect sense that he would be a big gluttonous looking thing.
Oh, yeah. No,
he's a crime lord. So of course he's going to be that way. So, and of course they're calling him Tuna the Hutt, I hear now. And then there's Boba the Hutt now. And, but yeah.
Right. So, well, and that's the other thing that I don't know. It hasn't really been discussed, but so at the end of the post-credit scene, Bib Fortuna gets shot. Boba comes over and pulls his body off the throne and then sits down. You have that very cool shot of him kind of sitting back with his arms on the throne while Fennec Shand goes and sits down.
It's very King Conan looking. It's very
yes. But then it says the Book of Boba Fett arriving December 2021. So I don't know if that is season 3 of The Mandalorian, or if he's getting his own Boba Fett spinoff that they didn't announce because they didn't want it to be a spoiler.
Right. And I thought the exact same thing. And then I started talking with our buddy Eric Grubb, who's been on the show before. He was going to be on tonight, but he was getting tired. I think it's his birthday today, too.
It is his birthday today, actually. Yeah.
So happy birthday, Eric. You are definitely missed on when we're talking Star Wars. But him and I were talking, and I said, it seems like we're going to have a spinoff show. And the more we talked about it, the more he was pointing some things out. And I was like, yeah, that makes a lot more sense. That the Boba Fett Book of Boba Fett is supposed to come out in December. That's also when the next season of Mandalorian is supposed to come out. It doesn't make sense to put out 2 seasons that have very similar characters at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So my thought, and again, like you said, Jonathan, I have no idea if I'll take 2 shows. I'm happy to take 2 shows.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not complaining. I'm just curious.
Right. But if it's not, my theory is what it is that yes, we will have a very Boba Fett centric 3rd season, but we will still see Din Djarin in season 3, and things will be set up to reunite him by the end of the season with Grogu. Because I don't, there's speculation. Oh, did Kylo Ren kill Grogu then at the Jedi Academy?
Yeah.
And I don't think so. I think that I think Din Djarin will still be reunited with Grogu by the end of season 3, and I also predict that Grogu will speak by then.
The other thing
the timeline's wrong for Kylo to kill off Grogu because it's still like Luke or Han and Leia would just be getting together still. Kylo would still be.
But Grogu could be at the academy for a long period of time, and then Kylo shows up. So
yes, I just want to backtrack on one thing with the whole Mara Jade thing. I was actually really hoping for Mara Jade to show up because you can have her working for Grand Admiral Thrawn and have her show up and grab, and that would have been flipping amazing. Then that would have tied in Ahsoka and the new Republic one as well.
Yeah.
So that would have been a lot of fun.
Rangers of the New Republic or whatever.
That's what it is. Yes.
Yeah, and we can talk about those things too. I'm kind of curious, like what things you guys are excited about that you saw.
Rogue Squadron.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, you're in a X-wing cockpit right now, and you're excited about Rogue Squadron.
Rogue Squadron. I don't even care. Like they mentioned, or Patty Jenkins has come out and said, no, it's not going to be tied to the game. I don't care that it's not tied to it is going to be Star Wars Top Gun. And I'm absolutely okay with that.
And the perfect director for it. She has a background for it. I mean, I was like, when I heard she was directing, I was like, yep, we're good.
I was watching the Investor Day stuff, and I was like, okay, like these shows sound great. Hayden Christensen coming back as Vader, I'm totally cool with. That's fine. Yep. Let's do it, right?
Yep.
Let's make him evil. Let's make him figure out, why is he feared?
Yeah.
And with Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, it'll be better dialogue. So I feel like it'll be a better show of him as an actor than he got in episode 2 and 3. And then, when it said Patty Jenkins, I'm like, okay, that's great. And Rogue Squadron, I'm like, well, that's going to be Top Gun. And yes, that's,
I will take all of that. Yeah.
Right. And I don't even care. Like I love Star Wars, but my love for Star Wars is able to adapt. Like I'm not one of those that says, oh no, Legends is the only, it's like, I grew up with those books. I understand, but Disney bought the IP and I can move with this. This is fine. So I don't necessarily even need, like if they introduce Koran Horn, that would be fine, but they don't necessarily need to.
They don't need to, right? Yeah.
But they also said that it's going to punch the timeline further on, which makes me think that it's going to be their version of the things that the new Jedi Order books and the stuff that kind of went farther beyond the timeline in the original Legends canon. Makes me think that this is kind of their entryway to start doing that for their thing, because as Disney, they also want to move on from the Skywalker saga. So if they can push things forward that way and create more of a timeline, maybe we don't need. I don't want necessarily a bunch of movies about the Yuuzhan Vong. But so find something to do like that, but you don't necessarily need to, copy paste from Legends.
Right.
And I feel like that's a good way of doing it, especially because they're so focused on streaming. You can get so many more character moments and story moments out of a 10-episode 8-hour miniseries than a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
Right. It's a much better way to do it. And then to cap it off at the end with a Rogue Squadron movie where you're like, okay, there will be character development, but there's also, hopefully, cross your fingers, going to be a lot of things exploding and, yeehaws and shooting people. So I'm cool with that. That's a good 2-hour movie.
For a fact that if that movie is successful, they will try to do some type of series off of it, whether it's animated or live action or whatever they can do, they're going to do it. And I honestly think that Rogue Squadron would transition well into a series, because with the technology that they showed us they can do with Mandalorian, you have people in cockpits. You just have the digital screens around them and you do your magic. So
yes.
And
you focus on, you do.
What time period do you want to see this in? Do you want to see this New Hope or Return of the Jedi, or or even after?
I want them to push it. I don't know if I want after, like, I was rereading just the synopsis of the original Timothy Zahn Star Wars books, Heir to the Empire books.
Yep.
And we haven't really felt, I mean, we've kind of felt that in the sequel trilogy, but like for a while there, the New Republic was on its butt. Like Thrawn really screwed them over badly.
Yeah.
And they were losing so badly in a couple of places that it the books at least enriched that universe of, okay, yes, they were in trouble as the rebellion, but now they're the legitimate government and they're still screwing over. So I kind of have, and as we get more details, it'll flush out, but I kind of want a sort of like maybe Space Above and Beyond kind of vibe where it's like, we're going to focus on Rogue Squadron, on the home one as they're pushing out, the First Order's been defeated, but now they're like the only capital ship in the system. So everything that crops up in the system, they have to go deal with. And so that allows you to zip them around and able to take on multiple stories while also potentially setting things up for any future big bad that they want to try and start teasing through all their multiple series, because just like Marvel, all this stuff is going to be interconnected. So the things that we see in Rogue Squadron may permutate to future Star Wars projects where you're like, oh shit, they weren't a big deal in Rogue Squadron. We thought they were done, but actually they're not quite so done.
But if they start introducing characters like the Chiss, introduce them. What's that guy's name that with Janna, the love interest there?
Oh yeah, geez.
He becomes Anyway, but they introduce that gives them another party to fight against, not just the Empire. They can have multiple engagements or team ups or whatever you want. So I'm thinking the same thing sometime after Return of the Jedi, because you have Moff Gideon now and he's badass. What other Moffs are out there we don't even know about yet? You got Grand Admiral Thrawn thrown around. So
I have two wishes. One is exactly what you're talking about, right after Return of the Jedi, because it's like they're forming the New Republic. What is Rogue Squadron's role in that, and because they're going to still be facing some big challenges, because you beat the second Death Star doesn't mean the Empire's gone. Or I would like to see it between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, like somewhere in between there, where it's the peak of that conflict going on. So
the one consideration that I have is, at this point, you can get, and I cannot remember his name for the life of me, the actor who played Wedge.
Yeah.
Not
Dennis Lawson.
Dennis Lawson, thank you. He's getting, spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't played Squadrons, he shows up in Squadrons and he's like a general. And so he's I feel like if there's too much, I would love to see Rogue Squadron, maybe right post Hoth, when they're dealing with all that stuff. But then people are going to expect a young Wedge. And if you recast Wedge, there's going to be a problem. So if you push it out to post Return of the Jedi, maybe even post sequel trilogy, that way you can have Dennis Lawson do cameos as General Wedge Antilles, who's not actually sitting in the cockpit every day.
True.
But he's still got this kind of ragtag, we're going to reactivate Rogue Squadron, and he'll roll his eyes and be like, all right, let's go find, the most hotshot screw authority types and throw them in X-Wings and get them to do what we need to do.
Yeah.
And then that way you also have character conflict, because you're going to have the one who's, no, we need to do things this way. And you're going to have the one who's like, no, screw authority. And you're like, well, why did they give you an X-Wing then? Because
you're going to have Maverick, Iceman, Slider, Goose.
Pretty much, you're going to have the B-Wing support squadron that they've always got to support when they go in on bombing missions or whatever.
Right.
But I just feel like in the realistic sense, as much as I would love to see those stories, a lot of those stories have been told with the X-Wing books. And I think they probably want to stay away from that kind of stuff. And they also need to realistically think about, who do they want to, do they constantly want Sebastian Stan to come back as, a young Luke to do Rogue Squadron stuff?
God, please.
Yes, I want that too. But I'm just, or do you, for plot purposes, do you push it out so that you don't have to be chained to the old Rogue Squadron?
Right.
And this could be, we're reactivating Rogue Squadron as a legacy squadron. Like, they did amazing stuff, and now we feel like they need to be reactivated for the morale of the New Republic because we're getting our butts kicked by Warlord Zinj or something, whoever they decide to introduce.
So in Rogue Squadron, I have the whole book, Rove novels, and Yasmin Izzard was one of the main baddie in one of those things.
She
would be amazing in that
Yeah.
with Patty Jenkins directing it.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
She would be really good actually.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
She's Thrawn or Admiral Dalla. I don't or
Yep.
she's been introduced in the new books. I can't remember, but Izzard was Thrawn enough. The whole Imperial Security Bureau stuff. Like she knew her stuff and she was scary.
Yeah,
And having Patty Jenkins directing a strong female villain character, like not just because of Wonder Woman and what's her name in Wonder Woman? Cheetara?
Oh, Cheetah. Yeah.
Cheetah. Yeah.
Cheetah's Thundercats, but you're good.
Yeah. I'm not a DC guy, unfortunately, but yeah, I think that would be amazing.
That would totally work. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and going back to something you mentioned earlier too, Jonathan, I don't think this is a shock to anyone that listened to the show for any longer than like an episode, but I'm much like you, where I have fond memories of all the Legends stuff, and I still have all the books and I have all the comics and I love all that stuff, and I will go back and reread that stuff. It's amazing. I also have all the new stuff that's come out, and all of that's been fun and amazing, and I have stuff that I absolutely love and enjoy there. I actually have bookshelves where it's like 2 bookshelves are all the Legends stuff that I have, all the I have every freaking novel there was. So I have all the novels that are in chronological order on the bookshelf, so I know when they took place in the timeline. And then I have another bookshelf, which is all the new timeline stuff, and that's in its chronological order.
It was fun to read, but I don't need Darth Caedus. I don't need a second galactic civil war where it's just Han and Leia's kids beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah, I love all that stuff, and I will read all of it, but I don't need them to make a carbon copy of it. Like you said, I can adapt to wherever they're going, but I am thrilled that they are looking back at that stuff to mine it for characters and seeing where those characters fit in this timeline. Because obviously we've got a new timeline with Thrawn. Mm-hmm. So he's not the Thrawn that was in Legends stuff, but he still is the Thrawn that was in the Legends stuff. So
the only Thrawn stuff I've seen of the new canon is actually just the reveal. I'm still not caught up on Rebels.
Okay.
But I even still lost my ever loving shit when Lars Mikkelsen voices him and he walks out and it's like, this is Thrawn. Like, oh my God, they brought Thrawn, which makes sense. He's like the classic, he was the first major non-Empire baddie from the books, but still, like the fact that they were like, this is something we want to invest in. And then of course they name drop him in Mandalorian. You're like, so
I was just going to say,
we're going to get him live action at some point. Oh my God, what is this world that we live in?
Right. And to know that he has now survived through all of the original trilogy and stuff to know, oh crap, he's still around. And yeah, I am so excited for that, which of course is why I'm excited for the Ahsoka series. Cause it's like, not only do I get Ahsoka, who is a character who I despised when she first showed up, and now I absolutely love her because she has grown and adapted, and I've grown and adapted with her. But now I get Ahsoka, and now you're telling me I'm going to get a Thrawn, which, granted, I understand what's going to happen. I'm not fooling myself. I'm not going to see Thrawn until the last episode of that first season.
Yeah.
Just to piss me off and make me come back for season 2, which I would have came back anyways. But, it's just like, we know things like that are going to happen. If I get Thrawn in the first episode, I will lose my shit. But
well, then it's just like we've heard that Tamura Morrison is coming back in the Obi-Wan series, but he's not playing Boba Fett, which means, holy shit, is he playing Cody? Is Cody going to have to be the one that goes out to try and hunt down Obi-Wan? Because it's like, okay, I personally am a fan of The Last Jedi. Not many people are. Whatever. That's you're allowed your opinion. I like the
I am as well.
Trilogy.
I like it as well. So you're in good company.
Okay, it could have been done better.
Sure,
but I like that it was an effect enough that they took a step back and they looked at things and they said, if we need to focus better on XYZ, and they said, okay, Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau, show us what you got. And I feel like Star Wars is safe now. Star Wars was on shaky grounds for a while, but I feel like, okay, the way they're doing things, the casting announcements they're doing, the decisions that they're making story-wise, I'm good. I was out of Star Wars for a little bit, mostly just because there was such, internet backlash and people, angry keyboards clacking back and forth. And now it's like, okay, I have already pre-ordered all of the High Republic books. I am super hyped about the High Republic stuff.
Yep.
So...
Yeah, and I'm kind of curious what they're going to do with that, because I'm super excited about that stuff too, because I'm like, oh, good, they are branching out like I've been wanting them to, because that's what happened with Legends stuff, was they branched out beyond the time period that we were in. So I'm like, okay, great, we're doing that here, and I'm eager to see what they do with it. I'm curious if any of these new shows will play into that, because we have the show Acolyte, which as far as I know, we don't know much about that. So I'm like, does that play into the High Republic stuff?
The only thing I know about Acolyte is it takes place during the High Republic era, and it's supposed to be like a mystery thriller. So it's supposed to be like a Tom Clancy-ish style mystery thriller set during the High Republic era, which means we're going to get some cool costumes, and we're going to get some very cool, peak Galactic Republic, like very much the Rome right before the fall, sort of. Look how grand everything was, and then we'll be able to see, it'll shoot forward to be like, and that's what the Galactic Senate building looks like now,
right?
As it falls apart or whatever.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I'm excited when it comes to that type of stuff, is to kind of see the transitions, to see what they're doing, how they envision this all to be. And it's, I'm glad that they're doing stuff like different genres. Like you were talking about, this is a mystery thriller. Droids, I don't know much about what that is, but I'm hoping it's some type of comedy type thing. Like I'm hoping that they're exploring some of these other, hell, I want to see a Star Wars horror. Like I want to see some different, because much like they've done with the Marvel stuff, you can do that with Star Wars. You can venture into different genres. Hell, Mandalorian is a Western. It's just a Western in space.
It's a samurai movie. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's Wolf and Cub. I mean, that's what it's based off of. They've freely said it's based off of that. So,
right.
But yeah, it's like the music and everything else. It lends itself to the samurai and the Western and stuff like that. And that was always part of Star Wars. Like there was a Western aspect to Star Wars. There was a samurai aspect to Star Wars. Hell, look at they have lightsabers that they hold with two hands, and they have a hotshot gunslinger inside a cantina. It's like And
then with the High Republic stuff, you can do like an opulent period piece. You can give everybody the super fluffy, frilly robes with the big puffy sleeves and all of the political maneuvering
type stuff. Yeah,
right. You can do the political maneuverings of the the Republic at its height. And then you can do with Rogue Squadron, we're probably going to get like a war film, and it's going to be for, like the lone aircraft carrier in space against all of the bad guys kinds of things. And it's very possible. They just need to, it feels like they're picking and choosing the right stuff. I didn't, one of the reasons I didn't fully catch up on Rebels was because I thought, oh, it's just a kid's show. It's not going to matter. And then, of course, that
it all matters.
It's all connected.
It's all connected. It's like, I feel like, was it the meme of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Oh, yeah.
Where he's like,
that was one of the other options, too. Someone's like, what if Ezra shows up and saves Grogu at the end? And I was like, oh, I am so not up on my Rebels.
That's what I said in the last episode. I said it was going to be Ezra.
Yep. Which I would have been fine with that, too. That would have been a really holy shit moment for me. But let's to circle back to the Mandalorian finale. We went on an awesome tangent there. No, because I wanted to talk about the announcements as well. So, but the thing that there was nothing that was going to give me the reaction that I got because it was Luke. Like, there's just, as much as I would have loved any of these other people showing up, I never expected it to be Luke, but there was that 1% of me that's like, well, what if they did Luke? Yeah. And I didn't know how and I think it was only 1% because I was like, I don't know how the hell they would do it.
But it makes sense. It's only Luke because he's the only real Jedi.
100%. 100%. Yeah. It makes perfect sense that it would be him, but how the hell do you pull it off? Yeah. And then all of a sudden they pulled it off. And like you said, Jonathan, yes. Did I notice the fact that his lips and his mouth weren't really working all that well together, or he barely moved his mouth at times? Sure. I noticed it. Did I give a shit? No.
Nope.
It was the most amazing thing in the world. And when I watched it I noticed it more the second time, because the first time I watched it, I was just more like, holy shit, it's Luke.
Right. Yeah.
In fact, I noticed more of the scene of Grogu with R2 the second time I watched it than I did the first time. I think I was so shell-shocked by seeing R2 and seeing Luke that I didn't really notice that there was like this whole moment scene of Grogu with R2 that it was like it was longer than I remembered it being.
I actually had to play it back because he walks in and he flips the cowl down, and Din Djarin goes, "Are you a Jedi?" And I was laughing so hard I had like, no, they're talking. I got to go back. He wouldn't know, but I know, like, Doy.
Right. Well,
I was wondering if Cara Dune should have known who he was. I was wondering about that.
Well, and so that was actually mentioned. I watched the reviewer, Jeremy Johns. He's a movie reviewer and stuff like that. And he's awesome. He did his review and he said part of him was hoping he'd come in and be like, "I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you."
Oh my God.
I was like, that would have been awesome. But he said it also would have been the most cheesy thing in the world. And I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
But he did mention, like, if he had done that, would Cara Dune have recognized the name then?
Yeah.
So, there would have been that playing into it. So
yeah. And then I'm not fully caught up on Rebels. So apparently now there's some kind of plot hole with the Darksaber because Bo-Katan can't take the Darksaber.
Yes. In order to take the Darksaber, you have to defeat the person who controls it. So that's why she was so hardcore and like, he's mine. I am taking down Gideon. I don't care what happens after him. I need to take him down so she can take control of the Darksaber. But now that Jin took it.
Yeah, but in Rebels, I can't remember. I have to go back, but I think I'm remembering it right. In Rebels, and I don't think it's a big spoiler for you, Jonathan, so apologize. But,
no.
But basically, Sabine Wren, she gets the Darksaber. And I think if I remember right, because it's been a while since I watched it, I think she gives it to Bo-Katan. Bo-Katan does not defeat her in battle to get it. I don't think. Maybe they do.
I can't remember that.
But I can't remember. Maybe they do have a battle and she wins it from her. But that's the thing that people are mentioning as being a plot hole. Like, if you have to win it in battle, then how come Sabine was able to give it to Bo-Katan and that wasn't an issue?
Maybe because it was willingly done and not opposed or something. I mean,
I don't know.
I also I loved the scene earlier in the season when he would, the big Bo-Katan reveal, and you're like, oh my God, it's Katie Sackhoff. That's continuity is great. And then he's like, you're not Mandalorian. And it's like, oh dude, just stop for a second.
Well, and then I love the fact that it was like, okay, there's different factions of Mandalorians and they follow different things, which makes perfect sense because when you're faced with like religions or groups and stuff, there's always different sects of them and everything else. So
yeah.
And
I liked her response to the whole kind of, I'm about to incite my whole lineage and you're gonna feel like a complete dumbass here in about 2 seconds.
Well, and I love too is like, oh, he's one of those, basically. But yeah, so like I love that. I also think that plays into him at the end. Yes, I know there was a major connection with him and Grogu, and that's why he takes the helmet off. It's a very emotional moment. Like, God, I got choked up. Like, oh, he's saying goodbye, and I'm getting emotional about a puppet with a guy who's probably controlling the puppet, or he's got someone at his legs that's moving the damn thing. But in that moment, that thing is alive and it's a character and it's a very emotional moment. And I'm thinking like, okay, that's why he removes the helmet. But also, has he learned that it's okay for him to remove his helmet at this point?
Yeah, right.
That opened the door big time for the next season where he's a lot more FaceTime for him.
Yeah. Well, and it's just every time I watch the show now, I'm reminded of that story. Or every time I see Grogu on screen now, how they were originally going to go with a CGI Grogu, and then Werner Herzog of all people was like, "Don't be cowards, make it a puppet. Let's do this thing." And they're like, "Oh, I guess on one actor's advice, we're going to spend $35 million to make this puppet the most widely seen image from this TV show."
They made their money back.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and that's the other reason why I feel like in season 3, maybe it won't be at the end of season 3, maybe it'll even be before that, but there's no way in hell they can't bring Grogu back. That thing is a money pit for them. They have to bring him back. So,
so maybe season 3, The Mandalorian refers to Boba mostly, and then it'll, because yes, I think as a storytelling device, you don't want to do the Game of Thrones thing where you're killing characters off so quickly people don't get attached, but you also don't want to fall into the trap of plot armor where he's got the Beskar armor, he can't get hurt now.
And who's the sharpshooter, the actress that plays the sharpshooter with Boba Fett?
Min-Chan.
Yeah. So I love the fact that she came back. I love the fact that now she's like a major part of this story.
And she's going to be in Bad Batch.
Yeah. I mean, I loved her in S.H.I.E.L.D. So Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So
she is so nice though. She is such a nice person.
Oh yeah.
Amazing.
And I've heard that, and I've never had the opportunity to meet her. I would love to one day, but I've heard nothing but amazing things about her. So I love it when good things happen to good people. So the fact that she's now like a major character and is now like, she is part of Star Wars. She's not this forgettable character that got killed in season 1. She is now a major influence in the Star Wars universe, and that's awesome.
She kind of had a weird tie with the original trilogy in Empire of Dreams documentary. She's one of the people that comments and talks about it.
Yes.
She's in that.
Yeah.
And I've seen, she was at one of the expos I ran, and her photo op was one of the last ones, and people were in line to get autographs for her, but technically the show was over. She said, I am not leaving my booth until every person here gets their autograph.
That's awesome.
So it took like an hour extra, but the volunteers just made sure no one else got into the line, and she got everybody an autograph. And then after all the attendees left the building, she's like, volunteers, thank you so much. And she got a group photo with all the volunteers and all of them individually, including my wife.
She
was so nice. Yeah, she's an amazing woman.
That's fantastic. I love hearing stuff like that. So, also, was anyone even slightly thrown off other than Din Djarin for thinking that he was really gonna Gideon was really gonna let him walk out of there with Grogu? I was like, dude, come on, he's not gonna let you walk out of there with that thing.
He's very naive for a bounty hunter in some ways.
He was getting his kid back. He was emotional.
Yeah, I get that. I totally get that. And then you get all the Dark Troopers, which was awesome to see them come into canon now, and just seeing them fight one. That was the thing I love that Gideon referenced too. He's like, you had problem fighting one of these guys. He's like, now they're all coming in. And I was like, shit, I don't know how they're gonna get out of here. But my first thought was, dude, you got the Darksaber. Why are you pulling your gun out? Pretty sure that thing could cut through them.
Yep.
So, but yeah, it was an incredible episode. I don't know what to expect when it comes to the Book of Boba Fett, but whether it's season 3 or it's a spin-off show, I hate the fact that I have to wait a year for it. But I'm eagerly awaiting that. But thank God we're going to have other things happening between now and then. I don't even remember the timelines for everything. Does anyone remember what the next thing is that's supposed to come out? Star Wars wise,
the High Republic books start dropping the first week of January. I know that's they're pushing that big initiative for the books. I don't remember. I think we're waiting. Mandalorian, the season 3 of the Mandalorian might be the next on-screen Star Wars thing.
Okay, I didn't know if we were getting like Bad Batch or anything like that before that.
I don't remember. I'd have to look. I don't remember what those timelines are.
Yeah,
but I know a lot of stuff.
Where's Grub when you need him?
Right, exactly. I know they've been, Obi-Wan, I'm looking forward to that. I think that series is going to be incredible. Come on, you got Ewan McGregor coming back to play Obi-Wan, which is what we all wanted. He was the best. He was, and I love the prequels. I love the sequels. I'm good with all of it. Yes, there's flaws like we talked about, but yes, for me, Ewan McGregor was the best thing out of the prequels. So seeing him as coming back as Obi-Wan, I'm like, yes, this is going to be great. And I love the fact that he wanted to do it. So like he's been wanting to do it for a while. So like, yes, please let him.
Right, exactly.
And then I'm trying to remember some of the other things. Like I have no idea what the Rangers of the New Republic is, but I'm looking forward to checking it out.
My thought was that's probably the spinoff they want to do with Cara Dune and maybe those other X-Wing pilots that we've seen, some sort of special forces New Republic thing, because that way you can kind of focus on the political situation, because we've seen the whole time that Jaren's been running around. He's been running around like the Outer Rim. He hasn't really been to the heavily populated areas. So with something like the New Republic, you could get those scenes of Coruscant, and we have a problem over here. Time to go send our hush hush. We can't let people know there's a problem over here, so we're going to send 2 X-wings and a troop transport full of commandos, and that's all you're going to get.
Yeah.
the captain's name that was with Filoni and the X-Wings, he's actually from Calgary, Alberta here, just south of me. And he does a TV show on CBC called Kim's Convenience Store. And he's a huge cosplayer. He would actually show up at the cons in full, like Imperial. The last expo we were at, he was wearing full Imperial garment. And my assistant actually recognized him. She had to race over because she loves Kim's Convenience Store. She had to go get a photo op with him. And then we found out that he's a cat. Like, I don't know. There's a video of him doing an interview talking about this. He's just like, I got my own X-Wing uniform, and they're like, well, put it on so we can see what you look like in it. And so I don't know if you guys have heard the story or not, but when he went down there, they were doing like a screen testing. They gave him a helmet to put on. And he pulls it out of the box, and it's an original New Hope helmet. It wasn't Luke, so it was Biggs. Saw it, and he started crying because he knew whose helmet this was.
Yeah.
That's how big of a fan this guy was. And he's just like losing his mind. And Filoni's a fan of Kim's Convenience Store as well. So it's so cool to see somebody that is a hardcore fan like that all of a sudden living his actual dream like this.
Absolutely. I think if I was contacted at all to be like, hey, would you be willing to be an extra in the background for like 5 seconds? We promise it'll actually be in the episode. You'll be a stormtrooper, so you won't see your face, but you'll be in there. I would weep. I would be there in a heartbeat. They could say you have to pay your own airfare, and I don't care. I'll be there.
Yep.
Like, when do you need me? Tomorrow? Okay, I'm there. And like, just please put me in the credits so people know it was me. That's the only thing. It could be the last credit, and it could be like 6-point font. That's fine. I'll magnify it for everyone to see it.
Exactly.
But yeah, I would lose my shit. That's like when you hear the stories of like Kevin Smith going on the Millennium Falcon when they were doing the new movies and he cried. I'm like, and people are like, oh yeah, Kevin Smith cries at everything. I was like, dude, I would cry. I would be weeping big time.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of what I'm going to be like when I finally get to go down to Disney World and go and see the Falcon. I will lose it. So,
yeah, I've already warned my girlfriend. I said, when all this COVID stuff goes away and we go to Galaxy's Edge, be prepared to watch me bawl my ever-loving eyes out the entire time we're there.
Exactly.
Yep.
And my wife, God bless her, she's someone that, because we were originally planning on going down before the whole COVID stuff happened. We were supposed to go down in May, and we were talking about going. We were going to be staying at her parents' house that they had down there and everything. And I was telling her, like, if we're going to be down there, I just need to go to Galaxy's Edge one day. I was like, I know you're not big on theme parks anymore and stuff like that, but I was like, I just need to go for one day. And she's like, okay, yeah, we can go. And she was actually trying to figure out ways, because I told her, I was like, I would like to either get a lightsaber or a droid. They're very expensive. And I told her how much they were and stuff like that. And my wife, who is the one who is more of the saver between the two of us, she's trying to figure out logistically in her head why it would be okay for me to do both. Like, well, you're not going to be able to be down there as much. We're going to stay at my parents' place, so we won't need a hotel room. So that's going to be a cost that we won't have to worry about.
Aren't the R2 units like $25,000 or there's something ridiculous?
Well, not the full size R2 unit. I'm talking about the little one.
Okay.
The one that's like $100 to do or something like that. I think the lightsaber is like 150, and then the R2 unit's like 100 or something like that.
And I heard they just added Cal Kestis from the Fallen Order game. You can get his lightsaber. You can get his lightsaber now at the lightsaber store.
Nice.
So I'm still going to get Luke's, but it's nice to know
Luke's.
there are
I was
other
just saying, I'm getting a Return of the Jedi Luke's, and that's the one I'm making. So that's the same thing with R2. I was like, well, I know you can make your own R2 unit or your own BB unit and stuff like that and make it your own personal thing. I was like, how do I not just make R2D2? Like, I need R2D2. So, but yeah, so like I said, amazingly, she's just like, oh, and then like I said, COVID happened, and I was like, oh, I guess that's going to have to wait. But like the fact that she was like figuring out how her husband can spend $250 to get everything he wants to make a dream come true because he's visiting Star Wars land, which I've already told her I'm not leaving it. Like once we enter, I'm not leaving. I'm sleeping under the Falcon or something. So
I got to bounce here. I got to take off here.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we can go ahead and wrap things up. I think this was good.
Yeah.
So, yes, looking forward to everything that's coming out. I'm very excited about all the Star Wars stuff. Hope you and all of our listeners have a very Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Hopefully 2021, I know is going to start off crummy, but hopefully we'll be looking much better. I think it'll be reverse of 2020.
Let's hope.
Yep.
Yes, for sure.
Do you guys start of a new decade?
Exactly. Do you guys have anything you guys want to plug or mention to anyone out there?
I'm good. Just happy Merry Christmas, everybody. Stay safe.
Yeah, same here. Stay safe. Hopefully 2021 is better. So we'll get there.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah. So.
All right. Appreciate you guys coming on. People can find us at starjoes.com. That's where you can find everything. We're on Stitcher. We're on Amazon Music now, so you can actually tell your Echo unit, "Hey, play Star Joe's podcast," and then boom, it'll play. And that's
I get
crazy.
it through Google.
Yeah,
Google
get through Google. Yep. The day I was able to say to my Echo, like, "Play Star Joe's podcast," and it came on, I was like, "Oh shit, I just lost my mind." So it's the little things in life that make me very happy. So I wish everyone a very Merry Christmas. We'll see you guys in 2021. Where I plan on my goal for 2021. I know we didn't get to talk into too much about what's coming up, or what we want to do in the new year. But my hope is that I'll be more consistent about getting episodes out, be more consistent about getting YouTube videos out. That's really my goal, is to get more podcasts out and more YouTube reviews out. So I figure if I can keep myself to that goal and just focus on that and not try to expand too much, then I can maybe actually get that goal accomplished. So thank you very much, everyone. And with that, we'll go ahead and close the episode by saying the Force will be with you, because knowing us is half the battle. Take care, everyone.